Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick video on the psychology of weight loss and give you a pretty powerful technique or thing to think about as we go into one of the biggest eating days of the year, which is Thanksgiving. So one of the biggest problems with weight loss and eating for weight loss is portion control. And as hard as we try, it is very, very difficult to get an accurate grasp on your caloric intake just by estimating and eyeballing things. And it's not our fault. It's not your fault. Our world is set up for us currently to fail at portion control, especially here in America. When we are trying to control caloric intake, out in the world, we're faced with constant meals that are massive, and it skews our perception for what an actual serving size is. And that is the problem. So, here's an example. You could dial in your nutrition for 2 weeks and measure everything out, track everything to a T, and it's usually way smaller than you're used to eating. And in the moment, it's very, very eye-opening, and you're like, holy smokes, that's way smaller than I've been eating. You get a new kind of frame of reference for serving sizes, and then you stop tracking and you're like, you know what, I got it, I'm good now. And you go out into the world, and then you're faced with comparing what you're eating to the massive serving sizes that's out in the world on a regular basis, and all of a sudden your frame of reference gets skewed. So you start looking at your portion sizes that at one point you knew was the right size and what you needed to eat, but now you're like, man, this looks too small. This doesn't make sense, because our frame of reference is big portion sizes like we eat in America. So here's an example that clearly illustrates this. So if you look at this photo, right, and I asked you to tell me which black dot was smaller, right? Most people, unless they're familiar with this, are going to say this dot. It looks a lot smaller than this one. In reality, these two dots are the exact same size. What changes this in our brains is the relative to the other circles, this looks really big, and relative to these circles, this looks really small. But without any of that stuff, they're the exact same size. So think about it like this, is if you're eating a series of small meals, like when you're tracking and weighing and measuring and doing everything yourself, your own meals are going to feel the right size or filling, and it's going to feel better. And then you stop tracking everything, right? You stop weighing everything. You stop measuring everything. You stop being hyper vigilant, and you go out into the wild and you start, seeing meals at Wawa and restaurants and, what other people are eating. And all of a sudden, what you've been eating looks really, really small. And you start to say, that doesn't make sense. I can do a little bit more. I can do a little bit more, until your meals start to look like this. And then they're going to make a lot more sense in the brain, because it's going to say, well, this is just what a serving size is. So here's your tip, guys. Dial it in. For the next 2 weeks, track every single thing that you eat. Dial in your serving sizes. Measure everything. Use a food scale. Use measuring cups. Track every ounce of food that you eat and get the exact perfect serving sizes that you should be eating. And then eventually, you don't have to do that forever, but after you do that for a few weeks, you're going to get that new frame of reference. And then every month or 6 to 8 weeks, do it again, because what you'll find is those serving sizes slowly start to grow to match what's relative to the outside world, right? So again, our world is not designed for proper serving sizes, and that's one reason why in America especially, obesity is so rampant. So dial it in, get your exact serving sizes locked in, create that new frame of reference, and every 6 to 8 weeks, do it again and really dial it back in. This is the only way to truly control serving sizes in the long term, all right? So that's your health nutritional psychology tip for the day. Have a happy Thanksgiving.